So we started the recording now. This is part 2 of the first part because of interference. So continue then, John.
Okay. We'll carry on with the second part of the court hearing, the enforcement of everything we're doing to enforce it straight away with a writ warrant. But I'll let Alfred carry on where he left off. It's very important that we get this King to Haiti that's in England strung up in front of us in this court hearing as being liable now. And so Alfred will carry on now. And the time now is 10:47 New Zealand time. Right now, we'll just carry on till we finish off the whole thing.
Okay, ready to go?
Hang on, put it up here. I'll put the camera back up here.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just go back to just following from what John Wanoa was talking about, the Emergency Banking Act in 1933, which is the War Powers Act. Now, it was clear that when you look at the Trading with the Enemy Act in 1917, obviously they classified the people as enemy of the corporate state, and that was revised. The Trading with the Enemy Act was revised in 1933. So we just got to join the dots on that, because when they had that secret meeting in 1938 with the highest judges in America, what they were told was that they're going from public law to public policy, and what public policy is Admiralty maritime jurisdiction in the courts, but they were never to reveal it to the people because it wasn't expedient, and they were informed until they remove all the guns from all the people in all the countries. Then it wasn't expedient for them to inform the people, and so I knew in the 15th of March 2019 of that false flag when the Brent Tarrant from Australia came over here. The police gave him a license for a gun and thousands of rounds of ammunition. And why would you do that? Why would you allow any person from another country for the New Zealand police to give someone a license and to purchase arms and to purchase ammunition? So I knew that it was a false flag, and sure enough, in about 3 weeks after that shooting, Jacinda Ardern passed legislation to remove the gun laws, to remove the guns from the public. And same year, 2019 November, was the Wuhan outbreak. So it was obvious there was that what this means is this COVID-19 global holocaust, which was pre-planned in 1933. Now, saying that bit, I'll just go straight to this thing about King Tuheitia today. Now, he's a descendant of pt2, who was appointed in 1858 by basically chiefs around the Waikato and basically the middle half of the North Island. He was appointed in 1838 as the first king. But in this area, Waikato, King the paramount chief, Waikato Taidia Whakahiri Manukau, he was appointed in 50 years before that by a group of chiefs under Kohuiro, he was appointed as the first high puru, which is the highest status of king, of in our status as a king in this country. And he was appointed on 17th of August, 1808, long before pt2. Now, so pt2 was not one of those 13 chiefs in 1831, nor was he one of those 25 chiefs on the 20th of March, 1834. So basically, when they appointed him as the king, he was during the time of Queen Victoria. So basically, that's under the Queen's Court Bench jurisdiction, and they're still operating under that today. So I've been explaining to John the genealogy of King Tuheitia. Now the two tribes that we are here around Hamilton City, the two tribes, Ngāti Mahanga and Ngāti Mahuta, are basically two paramount tribes. And when you're looking at the genealogy, if you come down from Mahanga, he had a son called Atutahi, and Atutahi had a daughter called Puakirang. Now, Puakirangi married Uirata. Now, Uirata's father was Mahuta of Ngāti Mahuta. So that's where the marriage, the joiner between Ngāti Mahanga and Ngāti Mahuta. Now, what is it? Something wrong?
Carry on.
Okay. So what needs to be understood is that from Puakirangi and Uirata had two sons, and the two sons were Paritipiti and Tapaui. They were the two sons. Paritipiti was the older of the two sons. Now coming down through Tapaui that's where the King Tuheitia's line comes from. He comes from the second son, not from the first. Now I come from the first son. I come from Paritipiti. Now when you're looking at Paritipiti from Tapaui, he had a son called Taputu. Taputu had Tawhi Kitarangi. Tawhi Kitarangi had Tuata. Tuata had Te Rauanganga, and Te Rauanganga had King pt2, the first king of this post Queen Victoria era. And pt2 had Tawhio. Tawhio had Tarata. Tarata had Mahuta. Mahuta had Koriki. Koriki had Tatarangi Kau, who passed away over a generation ago, over a decade ago, and the current King Tuheitia. Well, Tuheitia is 12 generations from Tapaui. He's 12 generations. Now, if you compare his older brother, Tapaui's older brother, Paritipiti, I'm actually the eighth generation from that. So therefore, King Tuheitia, I've got great grand mokopuna that are actually seniority over King Tuheitia. So that I don't recognize that Kingitanga line within these tribes. I never have. Now that's why I uphold the King's Court bench, because that was in place 50 years before this Queen's Court bench Kingitanga, and that's all that's what I say, because in 1995 the Kingitanga actually ceded sovereignty to the New Zealand Crown by way of the deeds of settlement. So they're gone. You know, they've actually put themselves under the Debt Management Office under the New Zealand Crown. So that's all I have to say, and I'll just hand it back over to John so he can complete this. Unless anyone's got some questions.
Now, you can still hear Andy?
Yeah, we can. Well, we heard you perfect this time as well. Thank you
I
very
think-
much, Alfred.
I think we'll carry on. We'll carry on with the
Yeah.
court hearing,
Yeah, it's
because I've got this on the court hearing
Yeah.
when I opened it back up again with Alfred
Yeah.
making a statement against King Tuheitia and his title. I've got a claim against him as well, with this flag
Yeah.
and the Admiral and maritime law acts of U.S. government that's that's what they're using for their law. So I'm using the same law. So with that, with Alfred, he's doing the titles for this area of that King Tawhio pound note in the Taranaki Taumaranui area, and so he can carry on with that in the land titles that we're going to challenge the New Zealand government's titles, their certificate of titles to the land, and pull the land underneath them, and they'll have nothing much to go on after we're finished with King Tuheitia and his titles. So it's all documents, and for them to refute what we're saying here and what Alfred's saying is on the record on these minutes, these AIP Google, not Google, computer generated minutes with the court in session now, carrying on. So what I'll do is I'll just continue with the hearing. And oh shucks, what did I just do? Hang on, I've got to get my document back up again. I just
We're
pushed
going
it.
good at the moment anyway, John. The sound's perfect at the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
hang on, I've just got to get my document back
Yeah,
up. I've,
yeah.
I've just knocked the thing out of the road. Hang on. Oh God. I've just got to get back onto my site again. Oh, here we go. I've got it back. Right, I can carry on now. The minutes of the last week to be transcribed from this video affidavit dated on Friday, the 28th of May, of this supposed to be the 26th of May, Thursday, 26th of May, 2022 at 6 p.m. Minutes for the record on this continuing second half of the court hearing, which is the enforcements. And I'll just carry on. Andrew Devine's latest update agenda for the Zoom meeting today, and the code, the second code that got sent out, because the first half of the court hearing was scrambled and jammed up. Main topic.
Can I just say something? I missed something, something important. Oh, I just got to add something that needs to be in the court record. The thing is, John, Te Ramola is not the daughter of Koriki. So therefore, Tuheitia, there's a broken line there. He's a legitimate to Port-Tau anyway, and he's not direct. So that's just a point for your court record.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought that that
Yeah.
line was a Tongan
Yeah.
origins of King
Yeah.
Tuheitia and the Queen, and
Yeah.
the Queen. What's her name?
Well,
Te Ata
Te
Rangi.
Rangi-Kahu.
Yeah.
Well, she was assumed to be King Koriki's daughter, but she is actually not.
Yeah.
So
So
there's the break there.
yeah. So
That's why they prophesied that the kingitanga would end after Te Ata Rangi-Kahu. That was going to be the end of it. So King Tuheitia, the end of it went with his mother, because the mother was not the daughter of King Koriki. Yeah. So yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. He's making some sort of claims, I'm assuming, to be a title holder over the land that he's sitting on. That's where the King Tawhio pound note is, and and also Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau.
Yeah.
And the Manukau title that he's gone and taken over with the iwi trustees, and taken it for themselves. We're challenging that now on this video affidavit to show their title to us, and I'll pull out the titles that you can see all over my Facebook. All those documents are proof of claim that we have the whole title to the lands that he's sitting on and living on, that we can pull off anytime we want. And that'll be the end of his legacy if he's going to challenge us in the King's Bench court. So there.
Because their Pohara Marae native land title, Manga Totiri, that John was talking about, that's Ngāti Korokoro, which is the original Moriori Manukau tribesman title to the whole of the Waikato region and the whole country.
Yeah, so there's plenty of that. There's plenty of evidence of that. But Alfred can carry on and pick up the titles and then put them back where they were. The marae has been changed. All the marae names have been changed. Those are Pohara marae is pua. The word Pohara means pua. They put that name there, the crown in Wellington, and the iwi, they put this pupanga is its original name. And so the same thing has happened with a lot of marae have been changed, and the name put that interprets to something else than pua. It's not supposed to be pua. It's supposed to be a better name than that. I'll get to that when I get on another Zoom and explain everything in the Waikato area that I've researched for that. So I'll carry on. That'll tidy that matter up, and we'll carry on with the main topic title: Confederation Flag of New Zealand Jurisdiction. Enforcement of the 1834-1835 Declaration of Independent Sovereign Nation flag of jurisdiction worldwide. So we're going worldwide in this affidavit statement today, and not just New Zealand, because it was put by Queen Victoria, put in the United Nations and in the World Bank and all of that, put our trust there. And it went from the trust between New Zealand and Britain into the United Nations right around the world in 193 countries. So the Pope owns the United Nations and 193 countries' armies. And that's a church for you, taking stock of the military that's supposed to be protecting us. We're going to flip that around in the enforcement of the military, honoring us as the partner and not the Vatican, who have got all the money and wealth out of the Admiralty. So the worldwide, the British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, commercial contract with the Confederation of Native Chiefs Partnership with Westminster Magistrate Court jurisdiction over Westminster Parliamentary Sovereignty ruling authority. So that goes over the top of the sovereignty of the Parliament. This flag and the chiefs and the king and the Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, goes right across the jurisdiction of parliamentary sovereignty. It's just a second-hand sovereignty of your sovereignty. They're taking the sovereignty of you, your birth certificate, and all your wealth into their own private business, and not the crown sovereign queen that's supposed to be looking after your own sovereignty and the wealth that they're taking from you. So they've got the Parliament. We're up against the Westminster Parliament right now with this affidavit that they are fraudulent to having to take it into their private ownership of your title to the land, the native land that you own, as a landlord in this sense. So there we're challenging that law. So the Navy is responsible to honor us with our pound note, debtor instrument, to go and recover all the debts owed to us now for every single person. I'm not sure how much they're worth on the stock market. They all vary in value. So we covered that with a pound note to recover your title that's been used all these years to spin over in the banks, and that instrument that we overrun with the flag instrument and memorials to go with it. The Navy officer statement originated at the Confederation of Chiefs flag jurisdiction we use in our Moai Crown corporate commercial business. We're in business now, that the British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, is obligated to today, Friday, or supposed to be today, Thursday, the 26th of May, 2022, locked in this exhibit. This is exhibit video affidavit, surrogate King William IV legal continuity of authority of the Confederation of Chiefs executive to continue with our flag trading business under Moai Crown Native Confederation of Chiefs contract partnership business, audit of trust accounts, and settlement of the Rothschild Crown Queen Victoria Trust wind up foreclosure. So there, we're just putting a foreclosure notice now on the Crown and the Crown and all its tentacles of corporations that have sprung all over the world from that Crown that the Queen has represented us as the sovereign people of the land and all lands that have the same problem as we have here in New Zealand. So we are owning all this against them as you watching online and witnessing what's happening here. There's a link there, Andy, there's a clip there that of something. I don't know, you can open that up where I am at the moment. I decide this with one exception, that we will only stick to the agenda for anyone who wants to speak, who has experience in these matters. And there we go. That's the Navy chief who is the video there with him and Dion Walker or D-Harb, yeah, he's got a photo here of him, Dion. So Dion,
I'll just play that.
Dion, play it.
Yes.
Play it.
Obligated to the 21 gun salute under King George IV. That's where the handover went into Queen Victoria. All authority from King William IV. Sailor boy, they call him. Commander Chief of the Navy ship out there. You got two different literacies, the Chief of Commander and Commander Chief of King William IV. They didn't realize that they're obligated. As a part of the contract, is that right?
That's right. Morena, everybody.
Morena.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so Andy, if people want to hear it again, we can play it again just to make sure they hear it and cement that as an affidavit, that video, as evidence in this court hearing that the Navy is obligated here and in Britain that to what we say as partners to us. So that's why we're putting our authority down here today and lock it to that commander that Dion has to find his name so that we can, but we've got his photo there and sooner or later he'll get the name of him for us on the next Zoom court hearing. So that will do that one. That's proof that they are obligated to the pound note and everything we do in the flag. So that locks that one up. Raise your hand in the meeting if you fit this criteria. If not, you will be muted as we have a short time to choose 6 people and organize our New Zealand registered corporation company business administration of people operating from home and people to go to Westminster to save our country and save other countries that will follow our self-government precedent case against the NWA, New World Order, EU, NATO, UN, USA, WEF takeover of their countries as well, after taking over New Zealand country first as their first model native customary land titled guinea pigs. And we must stop the Waitangi Marae Iwi trustees and government, crown, and Maori people and corporations from usurping our Hapu Confederation of Chiefs 1834 Declaration of Independence Sovereign Nation flag and the 1835 Declaration of Independence flag, because New Zealand government and Maori have their own New Zealand 1902 Union Jack flag and 1986 Constitution and land title transfer certificates and memorials, while we, the collective Hapu, have the native customary land title, the legal and allodial legitimate ownership title, and memorials, doctrines of discovery title. That's an important one, the first title, as landlords to the country. Now we challenge their titles, that's the Crown in New Zealand and Britain, titles legitimacy in this one online Zoom meeting Hui Native King's Bench Magistrate Court and Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament ruling authority. So there, we're stamping our authority down on this video, and we wait for a response in 21 days from who I send the writ warrant and the notice to, and the videos, and this video here with all those videos and all the information that we jam onto this 30-page, 32-page or so affidavit, as one affidavit for all those affidavits in all these documents, as one to them as a notice for them to refute the whole lot, the whole thing. Rules of the Zoom meeting, I just had to express the rules of the meeting. At this stage, we won't allow discussions on churches, religion, Satan or God, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen Victoria, whakapapa, tikanga law, Maori, iwi, arguments and games, emotions, 1840 treaty or claims, distraction from the agenda, host and me, foul language and abuse, racism and offensive remarks about us and the agenda, bringing a group of stirrers on, and that I can tell, or Andy can tell, will get the mute button, Kate Frost and group taking out the Queen, you and talking about the Queen, or all had your time on the first Zoom meeting, 26th of April, 2022, and took over in 8 hours, 25 minutes, flat out, not this time. So we're just warning people that are talking about the Queen that they're defendants in this court hearing on that side of the ledger, and we're talking specific charges against anybody who talks in the middle of the court hearing. They can talk when I open the floor up to discussions. They can talk about anything they like, but the main thing is to get this agenda across. Sharing the Confederation flag with iwi Maori or Maori incorporations who have to own your Maui Crown legal inheritance, big crown, as Hapu Maui incorporations, and drop the word Maori. Patent ownership of New Zealand, Little Crown today, and transition over. So I'm just saying to Maori who are operating in a commercial world, that is, to drop the word Maori on your documents and put Maui there, and you'll be right. You'll claim ownership of everything that's happening here in front of you and the world. So you've gone right around the world, not only here in New Zealand. So all that wealth that's been taken from the use of your flag and your king is now nobody's to use that flag from here on in for any other reason other than corporate, trading, bank, federal nation flag of jurisdiction only. So anybody that's doing it for protest is on the other side of the Queen's Bench Court argument. So they can stay there until they're sufficient and confident enough to come over this side freely at their own time to break off from the corporate pirates on the high seas, what we call, when they interfere or get in the way of our trade between here and Britain and now right around the world. If they step in the way, Andy, they risk being dropped a £1 trillion note on their head and lose everything. So that's a stark order from this court to adhere to and mean business. We are here serious. Everything I say is serious business, and not just emotional things about a tribe and what they do with the land. It's your land, you own the land, but not the certificate of title and the resources that come out of it and signed to. You've signed your certificate of title and birth certificates over to the Crown in Britain. And so we're putting the Crown on notice to wind them up, wind the Crown up and move in with the Moai Crown, the rightful place of God's law, L-O-R-E, and the King's law, man's law, L-A-W, to join together this time and run the business properly. So that's covering that bit. Break in the meeting here. So we had that before the proclamation. So we're making proclamations and declarations here. Proclamations and declaration orders. We're making orders tonight out of what we're saying. The Moai Crown Court orders enforced today by default contract. Everything is a default contract because it's one fraud equals all the fraud. See, we have the two chiefs there. That's Tira Waikato, Whare Here Manukau on the right, and Hongi-Hika on the left. So Hongi-Hika went for the muskets, and Tira Waikato went for the certificate of titles when they went to Cambridge, England, and learned English language in 1820. And so Tira Waikato learned real estate, and that's why he managed to sign the document with King George IV. And so Tira Waikato, Hongi-Hika wasn't interested so much. He wanted the muskets to go and carry on claiming land in New Zealand. So that's the two main chiefs in these documents, and those documents on the right, you'll see the seals there, always the King William's seal on the horse and the Moai seal. That's yours. You belong to that. You own it. All you people, anybody in the world who wants to break away from the corporate thugs and pirates. So there you have a long line of photos there. So all those people in one affidavit is charged £1 trillion on their head each. The figures will add up in their world. They're in the trillions, the corporate Crown and their private businesses. They're dealing in trillions. So you have to put the figure right above their heads and then carve them off pull them out one by one. We can pull those people in that photo out one by one and stick and send the sheriffs out after them and the military. It's the military that should be going after them first under the orders. So that's where the instrument of the debtor instrument pound note comes in, and that's where you get your wealth back, one bit at a time, one head at a time. So that goes on from there. Moai Crown orders enforced today. Default contract. So these are legal terms. The default contract is a legal term that we use to recover the debt by not answering the affidavits, by not responding, and the time ran out for them. Like 21 days from now, it becomes default after they don't reply to this affidavit and come online and in live, not corpse dead, but live people to defend themselves and their name of the accusations and enforcements against them and crimes against them in the Crimes Act and all those, the Pope's Crimes Act and all that, motu propria, all that thrown up against them. Enforce number one, enforce to dissolve the old Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa UN New Zealand, change from Maori government of Aotearoa and the United Nations jurisdiction, if any, in 2002 and beyond. We're changing the status of our confederation going to the United Nations and going to the Britain instead, where the safety and the military will look after us. The United Nations are not interested in us being a single country with holding all this power. They won't entertain that. So it's not safe to go to the United Nations with this flag from now on. It's revoked, and we put our orders in here and enforce them straight away. What I'm saying, enforce, we pass them straight away by default of no action, no performance on the part of the Crown corporations of England, of Westminster, and no response from the Queen and no response from the government of New Zealand at all. You won't get any response from the Governor General here at all. I've written so many letters to the Governor General, got nothing back. Letters to the Queen, got nothing back.
They don't answer.
They won't answer, so it becomes default. Default, and we can go straight and enforce them now and not wait 21 days. But we are giving them a last chance to come and refute again this affidavit video and the first part of it, the first half that got unceremoniously scattered until I get the camera back up again, because my voice must have got too much voice. Oh hell, you know. God.
You're on. That's it. You're back on. You're back on.
Hang on, I'm just getting back on. I've got to hook the charger in because it's getting low in the power.
Okay.
Just excuse me for a minute. I'll just get my camera back on again. I've got
The camera's on, John.
yep, but I've got to set it back up again. It's got the charger wire in, but it won't hang straight. I've just got to try and put the camera up. Oh man. Because the wire is in the camera and it's making it hard to sit straight. It's fall over.
We understand. Okay. Now you've muted you. You've muted John. Still muted, John.
I'll just unmute it.
That's
I
it.
just have to put the camera back. It was working properly over here. It was working no good over there. So it won't stay still because I got the charger and it's only 8% left in the camera. It'll go off.
Okay.
You've muted it again, John, by the way. You're still muted, John. You're still muted, John. If you can hear us or not. I was going to say put something in front of it, but you can't. We can't see you, John. Just a few technical issues.
You're still muted, John.
He's still connecting. He's still getting it to stay
Unmute
in
me.
place.
I'll just carry on like it in my hand until Alfred comes back with the holder, because I've got to keep the charger and it's only got 8% left. So I'll carry on now.
Yeah.
Like this, enforce and dissolve the New Zealand 1902 flag jurisdiction. Replace Queen with King William IV, 1835 Declaration of Sovereign Nation flag of New Zealand. So we want to change the flag here and enforce it right now. You really to change, and I'll make the writ warrants for everything to change. 4, enforce and reinstate the 1835 Declaration flag of New Zealand jurisdiction, the jurisdiction that is, as an independent sovereign nation to Britain, UK partnership government. So we're making ourselves a government as in partnership with the UK government as a dual government here in this enforcement tonight. So there, we are partners because of that. Still, enforce New Zealand as a federal, that's a federal flag, sovereign government. Federal sovereign government, like the US federal state, is above the ordinary state government or Commonwealth government or any other government. The federal state is right at the top. Government, nation, within our Republican flag. So we are a Republican country with this flag, and so it will happen in Britain and Ireland will be one country, not split out Ireland. And so this will bring the Ireland back to its old native name under this Republican flag, as a republic of the whole of the as one country. So that's just an example of putting back things where it was in the first place. 6, enforce the Maui Crown corporate business into law under these King's Acts as we shall choose. To pick from King William III and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament. So we're using those acts without statutes added to it. Now I'll just use this for now.
You can put it on there.
Until
That's
another.
what that's for.
No, it'll fall off. No, I need to hold. I can hold it. It's going all right. They're not complaining. So we'll leave it there for now. I can when I get some charge. Now when I get some, now the wires pull it out. I've got to wait. I've got to charge it up because it's only got 8%. It's going to put out. So I'll carry on with it in my hand and put up with it. So there, we're enforcing a sovereign federal state government, sovereign government. Enforce my Crown corporate business into law under these King's Acts as we shall choose. I said that. 7, enforce our own my Crown style of legal writing, so we can write any way we like, Frank, and that's our business. Or any other law, or the Pope's laws, we can write, and it still has the same meaning. They can read it all right. They can. I put capitals up so I can shout at people whenever I want to, or it means a real statement of legal that's already in the law as well. So don't take it too seriously about how I write, because it's just got the same meaning. Documents as legal admissible in British and international governments, native magistrate court, unique to us. So it's unique to us, and dissolve the matrix, syntax laws, and use of UCC laws dissolved by 2013 motu propria criminal code, criminal procedures, orders from the Pope Francis and Holy See, applicable in our World Trading Bank courts in 250 countries. At the present time, Sean put the motu propria and this criminal code procedures orders and criminal code orders of Pope and his motu propria for Sean Maguire's case, and see how he gets on with it. So there, that's helped him a little bit, and that. In 8, enforce UK Crown dissolving New Zealand pretended government and Parliament from Westminster Magistrate Court or Supreme Court and Westminster Parliament. In other words, we want the Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament, Westminster, to dissolve the government in New Zealand and put them on notice to debt them £1 trillion each, and the end of their government, and the end of the fraud and corruption in that government. And it can happen to any other government after that. The same enforcement here. 9, the numbers here mean the enforcement number 9, in our sense of enforcement. Enforce King William III Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1689 to 1702, King George IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1820 to 1830, and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1830 to 1837, and as acts enforced and applicable to my Crown private company, unregistered
Froze out again, John.
Yep, I'm just back on now. I saw it go off. I just have to keep an eye on it in my hand so I won't drop off again. Unregistered by Crown private company, registered in Westminster City, and Ngā Atua Aotea Limited, registered in New Zealand, and Maui Powerhouse Bank, unregistered in Westminster City, and Maui Crown in right of New Zealand, UK, unregistered, joint cooperative business in New Zealand and
Froze again, John. John, you're back
no,
up. John,
No, whole quarter.
John, you
yeah,
hear?
Yeah, just put
You hear me,
it
John?
there. And then
yeah, I can hear you.
Then you're about to put this on.
You've just
Okay.
froze out again, so you've missed out basically number 9.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, leave it. That's all right. As long as we got a picture. As long as it's still, I can carry on. Yeah, just leave it like that. Okay, Andy?
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll just leave it like that because it's out of my hand.
Yeah, well, you froze out. You froze out.
I can see when it froze. That's why I was holding it in my hand.
Yeah.
It's crooked. That's why the camera's gone off.
No, the feed froze
Is it
out.
right?
There.
You're right,
Right there.
Andy?
Yeah, so yeah, you'll have to start back after we got number 8, but number 9 he was on.
Number 9. I'll start from number 9. Enforce King William III Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1689 to 1702, King George IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1820 to 1830, and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, 1830 to 1837, of acts enforced and applicable to my Crown private company, unregistered in Westminster City, and Ngā Atua Aotea Limited, registered in New Zealand, and the Maui Powerhouse Bank, unregistered in Westminster City, and Maui Crown in right of New Zealand, UK, unregistered joint corporation business in New Zealand and Westminster City as judgment creditors versus Queen in right of New Zealand, Crown agents, City of London, Crown agents, third party, Crown agents, Washington, DC, third party, Crown agents, and Vatican City, fraud, corrupt, third party, Crown agents, corporations, and other international corporations as judgment debtors to the my Crown first party, principal, my Powerhouse Bank, judgment creditors, with the British Royal Navy, 5-star rank Admiral of the Sea, Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, as second party to our King William IV Paramount Chief's commercial contract. We're stating we're in contract with that Admiral, Michael Boyce, in this statement I make. Number 10, enforce King George IV Crown purchaser and Chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau of Maunga Tautari Mountain, Pass Site, and Pohara Marae, Hapu Memorial Rock, land transfer title certificate of title instruments as sale and purchase agreement seller. He's the willing seller, and King George IV is the willing buyer of New Zealand country as native landlord of Pohara Marae in Arapuni, Cambridge, Waikato district. The original name of the marae was changed by iwi Maori corporations of Tainui from the original Pupunga marae. Links to Pupunga marae at Cornwallis, Manukau Harbour, North Head, and Manukau marae at South Head at Port Waikato towards Waiuku. My father-in-law, Peter Mihinui family house was next to the Pupunga marae memorial stone, but the iwi Maori moved it, and fenced the rock off. For their title challenge, I challenge and have videos and history of that too from the paramount chief Mohi Te Mati Manukau IV. So that's the history of the Manukau tribesmen and their title to New Zealand as one title. 11, enforce the charges on corrupt John Key, Helen Clark, ex-Prime Ministers, Barack Obama, and others here in this photo ID affidavit. Andy, we've got another affidavit to poke and open up there of Obama and Helen Clark and them. So we're naming these people in this video with their photos and ID and name, with that pound note on their head. Yeah, there they are. These people. This was the time that I did these affidavits to them, and they ignored them. They ignored, and Ban Ki-moon, United Nations Secretary, right there. He's on. I wrote to these people. I wrote to them each, and they didn't respond or say anything or do anything. Now we are back to have them in this court there, right in this photo.
Or Peter Sharples too.
As an affidavit, because Peter Sharples was instrumental in Helen Clark and all this skullduggery going on in Parliament. So they're there. There's plenty of them to put in affidavits, but I just put them there for now because at that time I was with Mohi Manukau and we were hard up against them and the Foreshore Seabed Act and what Pope John was doing in fraud. He was dealing in fraud. That's why they got rid of him and put Pope Francis there. So there's that fraud on that Pope. That's a bad god. They're using bad gods for their money, wealth, and all the money they got to pay the military of 193 countries.
You just froze again, John. Just froze. Now he's dropped out. He's dropped out.
Don't touch it. Just leave it.
You just come back.
Yeah, back again now.
Yeah, you're on 11, number 11 you're on.
Number 11, okay, number 11. Where's number 11? Enforce charges on corrupt John Key, Helen Clark, Barack Obama, and others here in this photo ID affidavit. So that photo there is an affidavit. All these people stuck on it with pound notes, trillion pound notes on their heads. But the Pope's got more. The more senior the role they have, the more it is that we can drop it right on them and go into their crown wealth. That's the only way to get at them is with this method of going into their wealth and stripping them. That's what they do to us. They strip us and we strip them with the same instruments that they do on us. We use the instruments on them. So enforce dirty fraud money in the United Nations and Washington, D.C. and dirty crown money in the City of London, private corporations, government of London, not Westminster, Britain, News, UK, and dirty money in the Vatican City, combined corporations as Moai Crown, Moai Powerhouse Bank creditors. So we're creditors here, they're debtors. First party with the Moai pound note money, legal instrument originated from King Tawhio of Waikato in New Zealand. So we're on number 12 now. Enforce our original King Tawhio Te Piki or Aotearoa Bank of New Zealand and original King Tawhio pound note. So the bank, we're enforcing his bank to our Moai Powerhouse Bank and this other thing. We're claiming the Moai Powerhouse Bank and Moai Royal Bank, two banks up against their Bank of England and the rest of the banks of the corporations right around the world. Pound note currency. I'll say it again. Enforce our original King Tawhio Te Piki or Aotearoa Bank of New Zealand, the original King Tawhio pound note, as our amended Moai pound note cash currency inherited by us, so we shall immediately print it against the Crown Treasury. The Crown on its own is the Crown in London and the Crown on the Queen's Head. Treasury account in New Zealand and Britain, UK, and then throughout the world where the Queen Victoria Trust 1844 money, gold, investments, trading, bank, business has gone into the United Nations and the World Bank and the Vatican as our ownership, investment interests, and the Securities Exchange Government sovereign world bonds converted to legal tender, paper money, Moai pound note, judgment debtor instruments, unrefuted affidavits, ordered, created default contracts. That's that word default contracts again. Against all corporations, all corporations around the world who get their authority from the Admiral around the world, who enforce King William III, King George IV, and King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament using Admiralty law of the sea for martial law capturing countries and the people for bank loans and mortgages, war and human genocide and bioweapon extermination and crimes of church and state, we charge now against their ID photographs, natural names, and warm blood body, we live persons and their corporate dead person names and entire photographs, natural names and entire properties, foreign investment, assets, gold, silver, money, land, vehicles, ships, aircraft, submarines, armies, buildings, bank accounts, sovereign bonds, shares, business, an ongoing list of assets seized and forfeited to the Moai Crown and the Moai Powerhouse Bank, the Moai King William IV Trust. That's you people, all you shareholders that come in, that we started off with the Moai Powerhouse Bank, Moai Powerhouse company in Britain, registered company, and forfeited to the Moai Crown and Moai Powerhouse Bank, and funds, transfer funds from the Queen Victoria Trust account over to these Moai accounts. So there, that's what we want to do, wind up the Queen Victoria Trust and call for an audit and settlement. 13, enforce and create our own land title transfer certificate and original superior Moai and native chief Waikato Manukau memorials to take to Westminster Magistrate Court to legalize, to enforce into our law over the country one shot. So there we can apply this to any country once we finish these enforcing deeds. Enforce and create our own land. 14, enforce the authority and prepare a delegation to go to Westminster and Scotland Land Registry Office, where the Manukau Land Title Certificates and the Manukau Land Company are for retrieval and personal identification of as legal proof of claims to the land title memorials I hold as abdication from Mohi Te Maki Manukau, the fourth paramount chief, Freemason titles, and no one else, not even his family, claim to succeed to the British Crown financial instruments, land transfer titles and documents. So that means it's all Freemason, certificates of title and surveying of lands to make the title, to give to the Crown to make money out of. So that's nothing to do with the Manukau family or tribes. It's all commercial contract business. So they can't do this sort of work. It has to be done through the Confederation chiefs when they know what their job's supposed to be, running just business. And now it's a bigger corporation, business around the world, in 250 countries. 15, enforce the authority of the Mohi Te Mati Manukau IV, who entrusted to me his signature on the documents to act as his legal advocate and title holder of New Zealand country as the Confederation of Chiefs of the United Tribes trustee. So I'm going as a trustee for him and all his titles and everything we claim back for the people of the world and New Zealand. Landlords and surrogate King William III, King George IV, King Ernest Augustus I, King William IV, and King Ernest Augustus V, mandated and signed by Chief Kingi Taurua on Te Ti Marae in front of the Hapu Rangatira, who should understand me, what Mohi Te Mati Manukau IV, President of the Confederation, instructed me to do, dated legally effective and binding on the British Crown, the big Crown, today. It's binding on them what I say. It binds us to the Crown, and the Crown is answerable to this Crown. One Crown to the other Crown. One is fraudulent and one is true. So there, we're making this statement right in front of their face. 16, enforce 3 declaration proclamations. Enforce these declaration proclamations and claims as made public worldwide and final and made into law that is attached to King William IV's successor, King Ernest Augustus V, and my Crown. So we're enforcing King Ernest Augustus V into the throne while it's empty, and challenge who's to go on the throne. He has more right to that throne than the Queen at the present time, and he's still about 68. Still a lot of life left in him. 16, enforce these declaration proclamations and claims as made public worldwide tonight and final and made into law now that is attached to King William IV's successor, King Ernest Augustus V, and my Crown. So there, we're sticking the pound note with King Ernest Augustus' photo on it as his entitlement to the Crown, and that 970 million trillion pound note right over the heads of the Crown corporations, Rothschild families, and all their corporates around the world, businesses that all the corporate business, even the companies in New Zealand are now liable for how they got their wealth and their properties, all the property developments, all of that will come under review now by the Maui Crown. Cook Street, they'll look into their title, where they got it from in the first place, and challenge, and the Crown has to pay those people all the money back that they want.
You froze again, John.
One, if I miss one, it'll still be all of them together as one affidavit. Yeah. Okay, we're back, Andy.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yep, good evening, John.
Right, the 17th one.
We're on the 17th one. Enforce the Manukau native customary land titles to King George IV and Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere of Manukau. You got another name for him, Alfred, but that's okay. 1820, you can put your own name on it, that's fine. 1823 title transfer for Pukekohe and Waikato. We hold the land title memorials, no iwi can refute. So there's a whole Pukekohe title from Waiku on the west coast, right across onto the east coast, Cleveland, as one title with one Manukau, Rewharewha Manukau's name on that title, and that's where they made the New Zealand Native Land Act from that one Pukekohe title. I don't know, it was 1968 or something like that, of the Native Land Act. The New Zealand Native Land Act was created from the Rewhara for Manukau Pukekohe title right over the Bombays, right from the east coast to the west coast, and all that was one title, and that's the other one besides Te Waikato, Wharehere and Manukau's title, right over the whole country. So that wraps up everybody on the land titles and have to go back. And these are British titles. They're not New Zealand titles that I'm talking about. So you have to go and investigate your title to see where you got it from. So there, that's a problem that the Maori government has. Their title. We're coming to check all your titles out and investigate one by one your incorporations, your corporations, especially your corporations, not the incorporations, the Maori incorporations are on this side. They're on this side, and they have to change their name from Maori to Moai, and they'll be right. They can carry on their incorporation and get 100%, not 1% or less from this crown in Wellington. They'll get 100% of what is going out of their lands back to them. So that's how that works. That goes for every other native country, even Ireland and England will be the same, no different. It's the same corporate business. What are we on? Number enforced, number 19. Hang on.
Yeah, 19. Yep.
Number 19, enforce all cases before we go to Westminster. Enforce. There's more to come before we go to Westminster and to put in every other thing that we're missing that I haven't thought of. So I'm thinking of everything all as I go along. Enforce number 20, enforce Auckland boundary area and titles covering East Coast. What's that?
I'm not sure whether you're at 18 out, John.
Andy?
Yeah, you froze out.
Oh, I think I missed 18. Yeah, 18. Enforce all cases before we go to Westminster. There's more cases to come, and on each agenda that I do on Facebook, every time I put another post up on the agenda, it's been modified and added more information to it, so that when you go and check out the agenda for any meeting, court hearing coming up, it'll have updated information in it and any additional information I've missed out. So nobody else can do this sort of work. You just have to take my word for it and trust me that I can do the job honestly and with confidence. So you have confidence in me. It works out right. Number 18, that's number 19, enforce all cases before we go to Westminster. Number 20, enforce Auckland boundary area on the titles covering East Coast to Hawke's Bay. Was one title area covering Auckland right down to Hawke's Bay and across to Gisborne. That was one title that I'm going on as one that's joining my land block at East Cape to Auckland, to One Tree Hill and the Kawhiri the Giant Memorial. So there, I can spread myself from East Cape to Auckland on this statement right here of that claim. Number 20, there's a picture there, Andy, that you can open up of that boundary area of where we are up at number 20 has got a thread there to show the picture. Number 20, when you can, if you can open it up, number 20. Or you can open, I'll carry on. Number 21, enforce the Waitangi Ututonga title to the Bay of Islands. So that's one house on the whole of Bay of Islands. We're enforcing that title. Alfred can fix that one up, sort that one out. So I'll give them all the information on that. Save me going there to do that. So these are big titles before they split them into smaller titles. So with this enforcement, we can force those iwi trustees into this court about the title where the Waitangi marae is and that flag pole. Now we've got jurisdiction over them. We hold jurisdiction I hold jurisdiction of this court over going onto that land block with a writ warrant order to seize the property, seize the land back off the iwi trustees where that flag is, and take control of that altogether. What have we got here? We've got Bay of Islands. Yeah, there we are, Bay of Islands. So there, we can go and this is what I wanted to do with Kingi Todo, the chief Kingi Todo at the time, is use the writ warrant, but I was doing the Cook Street one, and I didn't want to get into everything up there. I started on it, but nobody was listening. They didn't understand a word I said every time I got up to speak in the marae. They say, sit down. And then they sacked me off the marae and booted me off my, what's his name? Hey. What's his name? Hey. Hama Hey kicked me off the marae and banned me from going back there ever. That's an affidavit there, Andy, of a birth certificate of the Manukau at 1830. You won't find any of those birth certificates anywhere. Only the Freemasons people had those birth certificates. He's saying in that birth certificate, I was here first. Where were you at that time on this affidavit document? I was here, and where did you come from? See, so that's what that means in that document. As a statement, I put those affidavits together back then for Mohi Manukau, and to now we can use that affidavit here on this hearing tonight in New Zealand to enforce that right here now, and use that in the British court, magistrate court, as the original that the British will listen to. They won't listen to anything else other than something they gave in the first place. So there. What did I get up to, Andy? 22. 22. Enforce the Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau title over New Zealand country to King George IV, 1823. So there. That's going down tonight. All these things are going to stack up against this Crown in Wellington. And that picture there of that, and this is how we do court hearings today in this generation. It's quick to go and get a picture with all the information on it and jam it in their face. So there we got a picture there, and 24, if you can get that picture. 23. Enforce 61 Cook Street title, writ warrant, Parapara and Manukau land titles to the South Island, Seward Island, and Chatham Island. So we've got that title as well to enforce right now over this country bit by bit, broken down in different areas. So those are British titles. There we have Mohi Manukau, the Paramount Chief, on One Tree Hill with the plaque. I had to make a plaque. That's the gold, the Maui gold of the Earth planet, all these minerals. That's what that means. It's commercial. That is Maui's commercial, and that's the sign we use for our gold recovery and gold coins of King William IV. Is that dragon against all the other dragons, and that's the plaque there. That what the Ngāti Whātua Oraki Marae did with the crown is they've hidden that plaque, and I made another new plaque out of my money and put it up there. And Mohi Manukau and the Ratana ministers, they unveiled that plaque and put it down in history. And that's the man that left me with the authority of the Paramount Chiefs as president, and to carry on the legacy that he set up, and didn't open his mouth one bit because he would have got a civil bullet from the warned by the Freemasons in Helensville not to say a word on anybody but me. But then I went and told the whole world. So there, that's the end of that story. So I think he'll be laughing now because I spent so much time with him. See that carving here, right there? You see those chiefs at the top? The 4 tribes that Mohi Manukau had for the parliament, and that's God's eye there of the tribes, and that Napu is the biggest leader of all those 4 tribes: Te Araroa, Ngāpuhi, and Waikato, and Aotea. So there's those tribes, the Aotea being the Aotea country of New Zealand, Aotea. That's why we have Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, the company of Aotea New Zealand that Mohi wanted. So those are the 4 tribes and the whānau, all the little carvings, and that's the sea tangaro at the bottom. I'm just explaining, I'll explain it more as time goes by, but that's a memorial to this country in a commercial will that Mohi put together. It was found in the Kaipara Harbour, Helensville, buried and hidden, but the sea bought it out, and a Pākehā brought it to Mohi Manukau because it was tapu and it was growing huru or hairs around it, and that was quite spooky at the time of that, and all the people that died in the Kaipara from the wars. So there, those are God's. Scroll it down a little bit, Andy. I'll just explain. This is a title memorial to the 4 tribes over this country. We can't scroll it down a little bit. I just wanted to know. Well, we can leave that for another time for me to explain all the full story on all those God and the Parliament. The big circle on that carving is the Parliament, the Maori Parliament supposed to be, and then the hapu. There's the 50 years of Freemasons that I learned all their stuff and what they do, and how they did land titles from Mohi Manukau. So he spent a lot of time in the lodge, the Freemasons Lodge in Helensville or Araroa, and I used to drop him off there and pick him up, and then he won't say a word about it. So I just had to tough it with what he says. So there's your certificate of title to all your lands in the world. Is the Freemasons are on our side. When I go to Scotland to check the land title registry office for the titles in New Zealand and all your titles around the world that are in there under this jurisdiction of the flag. So there, that's wraps that bit up of our authority and memorials to go with it. The King Tuheitia got no memorials to his title, and he's king, and I'm a surrogate king of the document. And so much being a king, a magistrate that got off a boat and put the title of the king on the land. So there, I'm just going in reverse and follow the ship backwards back to England and Westminster. So we go on to the enforce the Tāwhiao pound note to Maui pound notes. So there, we've got the authority to do that right now, and create the instrument.
25.
That number 25 is enforce the pound. Yeah, my eyes are big buried. Enforce the pound note printing machine license to print money. So there, those two go together. These are very important to explain the pound note and how powerful that instrument is with this flag, to make us go into business straight away. 26, enforce the seizure of all original Rapa Nui Maui memorial statues used as the legal land transfer titles and certificates, sealed instruments as Maui prized possessions and assets, gold stored in London, New Zealand, America, France, Chile, and wherever Maui are standing on powerful wealth generating countries in the world as our stolen Maui and wealth bank property. So they've stolen our property here, and we're making this enforcement to recover it back. All the memorials for all the native countries in the world that have been stolen for this reason only was for memorials, and your mana, your power taken from you and put it in a museum so that they can use that against you and screw your country the same as they do to us. And what did
27.
I get? 27, enforce the seizure of all stolen sundial obelisks used by the Vatican and British City of London and Washington, D.C. private corporations as financial investment memorial land title instruments on bank documents to make money from, and stolen obelisks from Africa, indigenous peoples, and stolen Maui from East Island. They've stolen those memorials, those obelisks you see all over the place, all over the world. The Vatican has got title all over your lands. So we seize those title memorials back and send them back where they came from to their countries, or leave them there in their country, then take the whole lot over with that memorial and the documents, instruments that go with it. That's you're being placed in their country, and God didn't say put it there. He said put it in Africa and put it in East Ireland, not anywhere else. So they put it there. The Vatican put it there. The Queen put it here and there and everywhere. So you're there. You are there where those memorials are. That's your title. So there, that quickens that up to take over their business and foreclose on them. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Number 27, 28. Enforce the My Crown corporate media laws in these proclamations. That means we can go over the BBC, go over all the news in USA, go all right over their news and put our own news right on top of them and foreclose on their business and shut them down. So there, we have our own media and from this proclamation. 29, enforce free passage for me and my team of 6 chiefs through the world in 250 countries, and to enter England, Scotland Land Records Register and Ireland St. Patrick's Memorial, and to enter inside Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament as a native surrogate King William IV Chief and President of the Confederation of Chiefs, with our British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet Michael Boyce, legitimate partners in the trading bank business with My Crown World Sovereign New Zealand Executive Delegation, travelling under King William IV Admiralty of Admiral of the Fleet Flag, jurisdiction, constitution and legal authority, President of the Confederation. So that means the Navy has to assist us to go into the land records, go into the courts, go into the Westminster without fail. So there, that's that proclamation and enforcement for the Navy to be obligated to what we say. They're waiting for this. They've been waiting for years for us to say this. Now that we're saying it, they're obligated to follow what we say and do as a business partner. Number 30, enforce the King William IV Confederation of Chiefs
Just paused out again, John.
Yep, okay.
You're back
What
on.
do you want me to say that one again?
Yeah.
I'll say that one again.
Yeah.
Yeah, number
30.
30. Number 30, enforce the King William IV Confederation of Chiefs of the United Tribes flag into law of the online Zoom Hui meeting, Native King's Bench Court, Magistrate Court. So here I'm now saying, instead of chiefs, the Confederation of Chiefs, I'm now saying the Confederation of United Tribes. That means it's starting to join up from the original 13 chiefs to the 35 chiefs to the rest of who joined, and the rest of the whole world of their chiefs in a suit
Yeah.
against the Crown Corporation. So there, that's the timeline of events. That's how you construct it so that it's a fair way of putting it across, instead of the flag being this and that and everything else. It's got its purpose now, and people in Britain and Frank McElheron and all of them flying the flag, and you, Andy, can start to use it for what it's supposed to be for, in a legal sense, to protect you and to get things going. 32, enforce the number 31, enforce crowdfunding worldwide for the My Crown Corporation Company, My Powerhouse Group, London, and the Ngā Atawe Ewa Aotea New Zealand Business and Administration, New Zealand and UK, and delegation travelling to Westminster, and delegation meeting us in Westminster City and hotel and accommodation, both corporations in one place for 1 month or longer, plus expenses depending on the court hearing and parliament visit time frames period. So there we're giving ourselves authority to go with finance. We can raise our own finance without being hindered again, Andy. We got bombarded to hell. I got my bank shut down, and my business shut down, and everything shut down, and me shut down, and not this time, because now we've got an order to enforce now to stop anybody getting in our road of business on the sea and on the land
32.
and in the air, sky. 32, enforce the Maori Crown patents. We have our own patents. Patents over all American US patents and British UK patents. So we have our own patent for the tidal turbines. We can go ahead and do anything with the pound note and pay contractors to do the whole job and done with it right around the world. So that's where your money is going. We recover. It goes straight into the power project of the hydrogen economy, which is on my website, that I have to fix up and get that going with the shares, all the shares of you going straight into that and claim the whole lot. You claim everything that's on that website and future projects after you've been paid first. You get paid first, then the projects, the money going into those second. So there you feed yourself first, and then you can export the surplus to other countries to trade with. So that's the patent for us, to patent any ideas people have, the native people have, and keep the patents for themselves instead of going through US patents. So there, that wraps that lot up. 33, enforce the letter by 13 paramount chiefs on the 20th of March 1834 to King William IV as first party contract to the second party contract 13 chiefs as confirmed true and correct today, 26th of May 2022, for the record. And our King sealed Maui Crown sealed documents as Facebook affidavits, video affidavits, unrefuted, and can only be contested in front of our cameras with your documents on full for this whole country, one land title claim in to rebut in front of the world today. So there, we're putting up this challenge to them to front up with the title to go up against this 1834 13 chiefs letter. So the letter is an instrument, a legal instrument that started the whole process of all this corporate business in that period of time, 1830. A lot of things happened in King William IV's time from 1830 to 1837 period in Westminster Parliament Acts. There was a lot that went on. 34, enforce the Maui Earth God, Pacific, Africa, World Native Country flag into law. We've got a Maui flag. I didn't put the thread there, I forgot, for the Maui flag with the pyramid and the obelisk in Africa and the Maui standing there and the sun god Ra and a spaceship of future developments I've got ready to go, and with that lot and the superconducting engine project. All that is cost billions to put that. The title, each title platform is 25 billion just on its own pounds. That's just for a bridge with 2,000 people on it employed, and fisheries and meat processing, refrigeration. The biggest thing here with this title project is refrigeration and quick travel around the world with the Lapcat, British Lapcat hydrogen-powered plane that won't ever get off the ground until you get the hydrogen from the seawater and not from fossil fuels. It will never happen. That hydrogen plane will never get off the ground until this tidal turbine project goes ahead and the bridges are placed around the world in all of the Pacific Islands, all over the world, to land from one to the next, top up, and carry on to the next, and the next, and so on.
So there was you on 32.
32.
30, the Paramount Chiefs, that was in 1831, that letter.
1831.
was the letter. Then the 20th of March 1834 was.
Oh, well, I can correct that.
Yeah.
I can correct that.
Yeah.
But I'm just going on these 13 chiefs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and there was 25 on that in
Mm.
1834, and that's 1831, 13 chiefs.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's all right. We can
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
that up. Fix that all up.
Oh,
Third,
but you haven't read it yet.
oh,
33.
33 enforced the letter of 13 paramount chiefs on, what did you
That
say?
was 1831.
1831. That's
Yeah.
going back further.
Yeah.
And
Then there was 25 chiefs on the 20th of March 1834.
okay, we can correct that,
Yeah.
but it still means the first lot of chiefs
Yeah, that's right.
that have the right to the instrument,
Yeah.
the legal instrument.
Yeah.
In this case, so it'll work out all right. It'll work out all right.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
To the King William, the March to King William IV as first party contract to a second party contract, the 13 chiefs as confirmed, true and correct. Today, 26th of May 2022, for the record. And our King sealed my crown sealed documents as Facebook affidavits, video affidavits, unrefuted, and can only be contested in front of the camera with your documents on full for the whole country, one land title claim to rebut in front of the world today. So there, that's that lot. No arguments, no arguments. 34, enforced my earth god, Pacific Africa world native country flag into law. So the Maori flag and the obelisk in Africa belongs to the African people, where God said to build them there, not in England, not in London, not in Vatican City. They picked it up and took them there, and God didn't say put it over there. So that's all been wrong right from the start. In this God's will, the true God law, LORE, taking out Maori law, not Maori law, Maori law. They've changed everything around with this government, naughty people in Wellington. And so we're just exposing their fraud and build them for the fraud and see what they're going to do, see what they're going to do about it. 34, enforce the Maori Earth God Pacific Africa world native country flag into law. So there, we're just making one title of the whole world and in one flag. So that's what the red inside the Maori flag is the marae color. On the marae, they have dark red. So that's why that cross is a dark red cross as the cross of England, the red cross. We made it dark. And so that's what that means. It's still King William IV and the crown of the St. Andrew's flag, and the tying that with the marae colors. Yeah, the marae colors. That's spiritual as well. All of that is spiritual. 30, 34 enforce, I would say that. 35 enforce the native Maori Crown 2002 500-mile radius inland foreshore and seabed act over the TPPA title and American title. So we're putting the foreshore and seabed around New Zealand 500. They've got a 200-mile zone around New Zealand. So we've got a 500-mile zone to go and fish in amongst. And so there we go. What we got here.
Just for you.
Oh, okay.
Later,
I can type that up
do that
later.
later.
Yeah, I'll put the record straight of what Alfred's saying. 1831, the 13 chiefs, not 1834. 35 chiefs came in 1834, 20th of March. So there, just a little correction for the record. I'll type it up and correct that, and some mistakes that might be there as well in the typing. Not bad for all there's minimum mistakes so far in the typing, apart from the capitals. I just got used to shouting at them in capitals. Otherwise, I'd have all lowercase. But it means still the same meaning. That's our business, how we write. 36, enforced the Maui Crown Native King's Bench Magistrate Court Admiralty law orders over New Zealand Government Crown Corporation. Three Waters, here's the Three Waters, that Nanaia Mahuta has gone private in their own family as conflict of interest. Here, the Three Waters are here to enforce Admiralty law of this flag and king over what the government and the Maori people are doing to take ownership of the water here and put it into the world, new world order for the water right through the world, through all the other countries. They'll use this precedent case, and here we wipe them off with this jurisdiction flag. And if they don't answer in 21 days, then it's law. It's law. We can stop the Three Waters assault on the council's water, and water's supposed to be free. So there, we just put that there. And He Puapua, that's using this flag. They're usurping this flag for He Puapua, and Willie Jackson going to the United Nations with He Puapua and the Declaration of the Rights of the Indigenous People to steal all the wealth and use this flag without you seeing what they're up to. I know what they're up to. I've been watching them for a long, long time, and they don't like me. They hate me.
They're using it as their constitution now.
Yeah, so they hate me up at Waitangi for talking like this, but it's tough. It's the next generation. I'm not bothered about old people talking and talking about a lot of things that are not corporate and commercial, and to make them poor and not use the right they had given by the king to make trade and business. The government shut them down and suppressed the flag, but didn't get rid of it because they can't. They just put it away in the cabinet. New Zealand government and He Puapua, New Zealand government legislation bills. So there, we're going up against their bill. 37 enforced by Crown Native Magistrate King's Bench Court orders and Admiralty law, maritime law over the Three Waters proceeds as a business conflict of interest. There we go. We just nailed them there with our Admiralty law and maritime law that are put in the beginning of the video. We still there, Andy?
Yeah,
Hello?
it's still there, John. It's still there.
Oh, we're still there. Yep, okay. That's another picture coming up there, right there. That might be the Three Waters here, I'm not sure. Government forces through the Three Waters Reform Bill. There, I put the Three Waters there of what they're doing. That photo there is for all those people that got £1 trillion on their heads, each or more, for the big shots at that time of the date on those documents. If you see the date on it, that's the date. I put the affidavit together to clobber the whole lot into one affidavit, and the title to the foreshore and seabed in that area, and Moai standing in the Mu, the island of Mu, in the Ring of Fire area, and the Moai flag there. I had a first design of a Moai flag, and claim to that area. The Americans are trying to take all that Pacific area where we've been sailing as navigators, the best navigators in the world for years in the Pacific, going from one island to the other, and they want to take the whole title of it, and they just put the title right against them. And these people here who are putting that Foreshore and Seabed Act together with Helen Clark and all these people involved with the TPPA. And so that's what that one is. That's an affidavit for all that fraudulent case against us and fighting the Foreshore and Seabed in this little piddly little court in New Zealand, and tribunals going through all that. And still the iwi came out with ownership as trustees of all that wealth in the Foreshore Seabed, and they got their corporations all sorted out with the money they get from using those Act, the 2004 Foreshore Seabed Act, Helen Clark. So these clips are about that, and the Three Waters and the Mahutas. 39, enforce my Crown Native Magistrate King's Bench Court orders Admiral law, maritime law over the Kermadec Ocean Sanctuary Bill. So they're going after all that area where I wanted to put the tidal turbines on the Ranfurly Bank and right up to Tonga and Samoa, spreading those tidal turbine bridges in the sea that the aeroplane lands on and refills and flies off. And you get all the seafood. You don't have to have ships to go out in the sea, and you can get fish anywhere the rough or anywhere on these bridges are strong, and your economy, it goes up, really goes up with these bridges and processing meat from the land on dry land. Those planes can come straight from the farm, straight to the bridge, the big bridge, full up with hydrogen, go back home, and then the big plane comes along and flies it off right to England or wherever the trade goes.
That's
And
your bank.
that's the bank that covers all that. The bank is the bridge.
That's the bank.
Yeah. So we've got all that tied up on that website. It's all in tatters at the moment. They've got to sort it out. It'll come right. So that's the economy. If the Crown asks, what are you going to do with all that money? So he said, we're going to get this, we're going to do all this, and we're going to chase after Elon Musk and the space program, and we'll get there too. So there, we got all that planned with that spaceship. I got on the Facebook site. You'll see it. I put it there with the engine in it, one engine to power the thing and go anywhere. So there, that's another project with that magnetic engine in it. I've got that. I've spent years on computer on that one as an engineer. So there, lots of years went into that lot. Right. So there, that's the three waters. They're bad. They're really bad. They want that water badly. They'll do anything. They'll break their backs to get that water and exploit it to the United Nations. And with Willie Jackson, Minister for the Maori Developments, and he's going to the United Nations next year. So we've got plenty of time to head this lot off. Once you get this, you'll head around this lot. And put them on the spot and dish out the letters. I'll write the Rick Warrens, put it on my Facebook. You grab it and you go for it and go them with it and the flag and they and so forth. That's how we do it. We educate ourselves pretty quickly. That's why I've got the quickest method of using acts, the ones acts at the top that the governments in America are using. To use their inferior powers over people and get away with it. So nobody's going to get away with it. No, nobody at all. So we've come across to People's Team going to Westminster, England. Well, we're getting somewhere. I've got another set of enforcements that go up to 50. So we're getting there towards the end. People going to Westminster, England. So what do I want right now? And that's what Hemi Takimona asked at that time. What do we want now? Money for the trip for about 4 weeks duration through crowdfunding, ETC trip to Westminster. We can start our fundraising again, Andy, without getting interruptions with this one, and put it on the Facebook, the website, and the people can press the buttons when I get them all working with Scarlett. Tag pay and change to Scarlett banking systems that's foolproof. You can't get scammed like Bitcoin. You when you transfer money, you can transfer 100,000 without getting scammed at all. It's never been scammed because they use near field data transfer, near field data transfer for money transaction using music sound as key to put the transaction through. That's foolproof. I checked out all the money transaction. That was the top one out of France. It's a French company. So we used them again. I get the license for it and hook it up to our Blue Snap gateway. 300 million customers on that shopping complex online. And Blue Snap and what's the other one? There's another one. Blue Snap and, oh, I can't think of them, two of them anyway, that are the biggest gateways for picking up customers can use the pound note. And you have cash in your hand and digital at the same time. We go mostly for digital and not so much paper money and gold coins. We just use the digital system of Moai pound notes as quicker of getting money, but cash is good. We won't get rid of our cash. We'll keep the cash going because people want to feel the money in their pocket. Westminster Magistrate Court costs, all the costs for that, laptops, stationery, etc., for people that are going over to Westminster, spending money for them, and hotels and food. I've got a hotel in Westminster in Piccadilly that I set up for the Confederation of Chiefs to go, and for everybody to be in the one hotel there. I forget what's the name of it. And the British people, and 12 people to go there, and the 6 people from here to go into that hotel and have everything paid for. So we raised the money, and once we get Cook Street done, we've got 5 billion straight off that we can draw on the bank, on the ANZ Bank. Well, it's the ASB Bank I got now, the ANZ Bank. Those videos I had, Andy, of the manager with my camera under the table with her talking, and me explaining what we're going to do with a pound note right then and there, back in 2012, I think. I made those videos of her. She didn't know I was filming, and got her on camera. So there, that solidifies those pound notes in the ANZ Bank after we seized Cook Street. So she was waiting for me to seize Cook Street and take the documents to her and the land titles. I had all the land title transactions to go to the bank and put the title through. And I can do all that again in the ANZ Bank and go through the same process with the same lawyers and Tai Choi, and he'll get paid this time because I haven't paid him yet for all the time that he put in, because he saw something in it that he would in the Pacific and Korea, where he comes from, South Korea, and he wanted the business. He wanted the tidal turbine business in Korea, South Korea, Hyundai, from me to give to him, and so he can control the building in Hyundai and Daewoo, which is the government's company. And I set this all up in Korea, South Korea, with Hyundai and that other company I just said, and Korea.
So you basically finished the court part, hey?
Not yet. I've still got some more enforcements, a couple or more at the end, because I didn't want to shift them.
Yeah.
So there, that's that bit. Westminster Magistrate Court, we've been through that. I'm getting there. I warn you that you will be muted. I've said that before. The original elders of chiefs comes first into the meeting. They have the right, the Ngāpuhi and chiefs have a right to come on the video and talk anytime they want to. I see Manahi has been answering me, one of the elder, the Apotoro or Ratana minister, the justice of the peace. He's answered me already, but not the other chief yet, because they are just watching. They know what I'm doing. They gave me the right to go and do it, go to Westminster. So there's no need for me to go back to Waitangi to get their signatures or any chief signature again. Finish. The job is done. And the documents, I'll bring the documents out in another Zoom meeting and show you all the documents and all signatures, all that sort of thing at another time of them and all the other chiefs around the country who have signed those documents to go to Westminster. So there, done deal. No hard work after this. What we allow at the meeting, the Zoom meeting, and the Zoom meetings is about King's flag, and King's corporate business, Crown, originals, before Queen Victoria and her Rothschild family hijacked King William III, King George IV, King Ernest Augustus I, and King William IV, Crown Corporation's trading bank business with our native chiefs at Waitangi in 1835 and 1840, third party switch of the 8-point star flag to St. Patrick's King or flag, bench, King's Bench native court, barless, that means no bar to jump onto the dry land, and sea flag. We can go on the sea or on the land or in the sky with this flag. To the inferior New Zealand 5-point star sea flag that needs a Queen's Bench Court bar and dock to come on the native chief's dry land in every country in the world where there's a court bench where you have to go inside the court behind the bar to be tried and pull you into their contract. We're pulling them into our contract without a bar and this court hearing and every court hearing that I've had so far. Native means anyone born in New Zealand with a natural name and birth certificate or born as native in 250 countries. That means anybody born is a claimant in this court hearing of everything we claim in 970 million trillion pound note. Join Zoom meeting code ID. Oh, that's all right. Confederation flag of the United Tribes of New Zealand. Jurisdiction. Agenda will be continued from the last Zoom meetings in bullet points I am preparing now with topics I will insert here with code and ID website. Agenda extended. So we've just got a continuation from one hui minutes to another hui court hearing to join up the courts together in a long string of lines. And Andy's got the videos as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So this is the flag, the description, which is correct. I can certify that what Dan Hermanson is saying about the flag is correct, true and correct on this video. And it's for anybody to refute what he has said with Dilip Rupa and Alfred Mitchell and Tin Chan in that organization of the Confederation, as well as interest in what we do with that flag. So they're privy to that or open to anybody on any discussion about that flag and how it manages to do what it does. Flag meaning and why it can't be lowered off the ship mast is still a live contract with the British Crown, the big Crown, King William IV, sovereign monarch, and business partnerships and British Royal Navy, military protectorate and 1834 flag jurisdiction over New Zealand from 29th of October 1835 to 26th of May today, 2022 and beyond. I'm just saying that what we are saying from way back till now is still live with that flag that can't be lowered. They tried to lower it to the ground, but the British told them leave it where it is on the cross run in partnership with the British. The government here and the Navy only put it up when it suits them to suck the living daylights out of the flag for their business, and then put it away and until the next time the Waitangi Day, they put it back up again because it's in the Waitangi Marae, the new in the museum on the Waitangi Marae that belongs to the Crown ownership, the Marae. And they've got all the information of that flag inside that marae. You can see it online, and just go to the Marae, Waitangi Marae Museum, type that in, and you'll see that flag and all its history there, and saying it correct for what they say it is, and what we say is correct, and what we say will overrule what they say about it, from our King's Bench Court and not their Queen's Bench interpretation of it and iwi Maori. So you can trust us in saying the right story about it. Number 2, memorial title to the land, legal documents and historic connection to the chief man of the land as Maui in Dunedin, and rock memorial of Chief Te Waikato Wharehere Manukau in Pohara Marae Pass site to Mangatoti Mountain in Cambridge, Hamilton. 3, memorial title to the land, legal documents and historic connection to the chief man of the land as Moai in Dunedin and Rock Memorial of Chief Kirawaika Wharehere in Manukau and Pohara Marae Pass site in Mangakauki Mountain in Cambridge, Hamilton. I said that. 3. 1840 Treaty of Waitangi documents with no British Crown printing watermark on the New South Wales, Australian, New Zealand documents is fraud. So these are just statements. 4. Won't be long on this. Leased land money collected in the Council of Municipalities Act of King William III and King William IV, 1835 Acts and Flags Act for enforcement of 8-point star of St. Patrick on the flag to collect money for the British Crown Corporation in 4 corners of the world today, claim back all memorials and land transfer instruments with the British Crown, Queen Elizabeth II and her Rothschild families and their Bank of England, and bankrupt them today by this my Crown Native Magistrate Court, King's Bench Court orders. So we're ordering them foreclosed and bankrupted today from this here statement, and the orders I've already said already, or there's some more coming up. Okay.
Just that one.
Okay.
That's right.
Number 6, what happens to the money from the land in trust on our behalf in the Reserve Bank of New Zealand and Securities Exchange on the stock market in Washington, D.C. And Sergei Trust, I said that wrong, trust money. So the Sergei Trust from the Vatican, that sovereign bond, is your sovereignty, put into a interest-bearing account of the Vatican City and put onto the stock market. That's your money that we're claiming back there. As I got that word Sergei Trust wrong, so I've got to correct that. I just in a hurry at that time, went straight past and just put anything. So 5, money. What happens to the money from the land in trust on behalf of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand and Security Exchange on stock market? Oh, we've seen that. Number 6, Reserve Bank and Treasury taking our money for their elite families and spending on COVID and war and themselves, and leave us paying the debts forever. So there's some clips there on that lot of what they're doing with the money. Take this to the court to our, not supposed to be our, Prime Minister 2004 Foreshore and Seabed Act and TPPA, Helen Clark and UN Secretary Ban Ki-moon, corruption and fraud. So there, that's that statement. These are just statements and the instruments. So there we have the photo that Andy just had. Oh, that doesn't matter. So there we've got somebody. I don't know who that is. I can't think who that is in the photo, Andy. So it's written there anyway. Yeah, I've written it all up on the photo, on those documents.
Ricardo Lagos.
Hey, well, Lagos, he's a prime minister or something of Chile that put that Moai statue, the fake one, that's a replica Moai in Wellington, in Island Bay, and that's their title to the foreshore and seabed at the time Helen Clark put that together. He came to New Zealand to bring that replica from Chile, not from East Island, from Chile, that one there. And somebody knocked it over, there. That's their title. They used the Moai statue. And the Bishop of Canterbury, what's his name, Moffat, that went to the Vatican as a new cardinal of the Vatican. He was in charge of this with Samoa. Samoa is behind that, and the Moai, for the title to the seabed and foreshore right through the Pacific Islands, they used that Moai, and the Bishop of Canterbury at the time. I've written it all up in affidavits of going across the top of them with the foreshore and seabed title. So that is a precedent case for all the rest of the corporations titles to the sea, and use that in all the native countries. Once they got the UN sorted out with New Zealand first, then they'll use that memorial Moai to take the whole world on their documents over with the memorial. yeah, so that's that picture affidavit against them in this court hearing tonight to stamp our authority over their title to the foreshore and seabed in the Pacific Ring of Fire area, and put it back into the Maui crown. The Maui, the real Maui, not the fake Maui. They got fake Mauis all over the place. They even got a fake one in Singapore as their wealth creator at the door going into their House of Commons or whatever, of meeting all the TPP, all the Pacific Island people, the heads of the Pacific Islands TPPA go to Singapore, where all the money and wealth is in the Pacific, and they're using their Maui, a replica Maui, as good luck and wealth generating, connected to all the other fake Mauis all over the world, including America's got fake Mauis all over the world. And there's one in Whakatane, there's a fake one there as well. Jamie's got her hands on it. So there, you have to watch out what's real and what's not real. So we've got the real Maui in Dunedin up against the that Maui there for the title to the foreshore and seabed and the land title that's they're using. Okay, so 7, Crown of New Zealand Private Company Queen and Right of New Zealand take to the court under Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, judgment creditor, registered company of Hapu Title Acts of King William III and King William IV Crown Corporations as at 1835 Flag of New Zealand Constitution and 1852 Constitution Act 71 self-government. So there we have the right for self-government at any time. That's why we're calling ourselves a UK New Zealand federal government, right on top of all the other federal governments in the world with this law. So there, that's Ngā Atua e Wā corporate company up against the Queen and Right of New Zealand corporate company, two head to head, two corporations head to head, and you own that company, Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, and the Maui Crown Maui Powerhouse Group Limited company in London, registered in London. So we have to take it out of the city of London and put it in Westminster and make it private or open company to take it out of their jurisdiction. So there, we had to register for them to talk to us. Otherwise, if you're not a registered corporate company, they won't talk to you. So now they have to talk to us. They have to talk to us. 8, administration for Chiefs Corporation Company to take to Westminster Parliament and court hearing of a People's Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited Big Crown Corporation against Queen and Right of New Zealand Little Crown Corporation, and dissolve the fraud government, Crown and Parliament, and install our own federal government under Section 71 of our 1852 Constitution of Self-Government under the Federal Trading Bank flag of to Britain, UK jurisdiction. So there, we're taking the government out of business because they're fraud, and put our own federal government in there. So there, that's everybody, I think, knows how to run a government and run your own country. That's up to the people of New Zealand to run the country in this jurisdiction. So number 9, Crown Westminster Parliament Queen Elizabeth II abandoned the throne and the Crown Corporation business, which she's supposed to be looking after, our trust, which is now wide open to the legitimate heir to the throne, King Ernest Augustus V. We appoint him to the throne with his bloodline's king's successor, 1835 sovereign nation flag we hold as his Crown corporate business partner in Westminster Parliament. At the same time, we are there to correct the king's bloodlines to the King of Britain, UK, and hand over succession to the throne. So there, we're putting him in with this enforcement down the track a little bit here, which won't be too far away, to finish off this half of the court hearing. These are very important. That's why we put the time, make the time to do it once only, to make this in a lifetime, to stick this law to them. 10. United Nations threat with Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, WEF World Economic Forum member, and iwi Maori trustees, Waitangi Marae trustees, King Tuheitia, and Ratana Church, FOMA, Federation of Maori Authority, Te Puni Kokiri, and Governor General Cindy Kiro to take over our country with the United Nations and Vatican Catholic Church and make us refugees with our land and human rights and laws taken off us, and make us own nothing and be happy under the New World Order government control forever, and New Zealand being the first country captured with our native customary land titles and whakapapa links to our land, and stealing our 1835 Declaration of Independence nation flag, that the Waitangi Marae Iwi Corporation trustees are allowing Jacinda Ardern and Willie Jackson, pirates on the high seas, to take it to the United Nations without our hapu rangatira and Confederation of Chiefs express signed legal inheritance to the Crown permission. So they haven't got permission from the rangatira and the chiefs and the elders. So that is why we need to take the original land title transfer memorial and deeds to New Zealand original Manukau King George IV sale and purchase contract in 1823 to Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament to claim back the whole country as one title and shut the scam government out and seize their paper certificate titles and throw them in the Sea of Admiralty with our King, 1835 King William IV land, maritime law and land British Crown protectorate flag of jurisdiction before they hide and run off with it to the UN. So that's that bit, and that's why we can't fool around and waste time with non-important talk, but talk of the Crown corporates beast. So we mirror them like they mirror us as a corporation too, and mean serious business, no small talk. We have a group of supporters waiting in Britain for us from when I say on my own in 2019. So this, where I went on my own in 2019, and this will free them up too. We have people in Australia, Canada, America, Europe waiting for us. The last chance to save everyone, their lands, resources, human rights, and country from the cabal, Lucifer, Nazi beast. So we have a group of beast, okay. 11. Hapu Rangatira and elders like Manahi, Mohini, and Bundy Waitai, and Hirini Karaka, who sat on the Titi Marae Native King's Bench Magistrate Court with me and deceased Selwyn Hirini Clark of the Taurangatira Memorials to the Native Customary Land Ownership Title, a whole here from Hare Utatonga Confederation member at that time. So those chiefs that sat with me in the Native Magistrate Court, and no other chiefs that bothered to come into the tent where the chief signed and just left us for dead on our own, didn't realize it was serious business. And Hohepa Epiha, William Opaita, and deceased Chief Kingi Taurua, who sat with me and Alfred James Mitchell inside Waitangi Marae as a Native King's Bench Magistrate Court with the Confederation head of Chiefs Alfred Mitchell and I with the 1835 Declaration of Independence flag hui with Ngā Pui chiefs. So there, we've done the right thing. We've followed the right protocols of what we are supposed to do as a Confederation of Chiefs, and nobody else has done it. Nobody else knew what to do. That's why they don't go into this track, because it's supposed to be private, nobody's business, from as far as Mohi Manukau was concerned, that they didn't know from his mouth what to do until I came along and opened the whole Primalora. and 12. European businessmen and women who wish to go with the delegation to Westminster Parliament and Magistrate Court with this land title information to show the British Crown our two titles and memorials to the land of New Zealand and New Zealand government hasn't refuted, and so we follow the ship and money back to Westminster Parliament. So we've still got 6 people going to Westminster. There might be more people that want to go, but we have to be very particular with who goes with us to not hijack what we're doing and swear their oath of allegiance to the Moai and to King William IV and the chiefs that have gone past and left us to finish the job off that they didn't finish. Number 40, enforce, now we're going on to the enforcement, the last bit, it goes up to about 50, and that's the end of that lot. 40, I just added these bits on. 40, enforce and form a sovereign nation, Maui, federal government of New Zealand to take to Westminster.
No, 40 years, the flag jurisdiction.
Oh, 40, enforce the flag jurisdiction into law here on New Zealand by the Hapu online website, mauipowerhouse.world, from now till we go to Westminster. So we're enforcing these acts and enforcement orders we're putting together with the Hapu and on this online website, mauipowerhouse.world. It used to be mauipowerhouse.com, but they hijacked that and ripped it to bits, and I never got it back. I can't get it back. It's gone. They've gone and deleted the whole thing because it had all the information that the new website, on the spare one, I have to redo it because it's got a lot of the criminal stuff in it, and they've wiped all the Cook Street stuff I had on that first site, and this second spare one. I've got about 4 spare websites that I made of the first one. So they've wiped all the Cook Street stuff off and wiped off a lot of the information that was there against the criminals. So now we've got the criminals on this Zoom, and it's on record and stored away somewhere safely, Andy, so that it won't be taken away and destroyed like my website was. So I have to make copies, extra copies as I go along of the website, just in case they whip that one to bits again. And it's a lot of work to redo it and do. It took me forever to put that together and put all the buttons in place so they all worked before on the first site. And then now I've got to put the buttons back in for your mobile phone, and kids can buy shares as well. They can go straight on. Kids, doesn't matter how old they are, they got a mobile phone. That's their bank, the mobile phone and the phone number, and they can go straight into their own account and do what they like with the money. That's theirs and theirs only. And the parents can look after that for them. But in Africa, in the tag pay was done for third world countries like Africa and all those places where they don't have banks. Only the shop or the big shop had the one mobile for all the tribes, about 5,000 in a tribe, and they all got their money from that one shopkeeper with tag pay. So tag pay was there in remote places where there's no money. And so we'll get ATM machines. I don't know how many ATM machines Scarlett has to cater for all the cards or all the transactions of the Moai Power note. So you've got all that lot. I've got to catch up with Scarlett, Andy, and put that all onto the website when I find time to do it, because I can't teach. I've taught Jamie all this stuff. Took me forever to teach her. She used to come and stay at my place in Auckland and Tapora Street. And so we went through all this website and buttons and everything to make them all work. So she's now got a new child to look after, and at some point in time she can join back up again. And we've got Cecile Hoods, she's a lot to do with married things at Waitangi, and she's our accounts manager here, and she's a business. She's got her doctorates in business and all that sort of thing. So I'm just waiting for her to reply. I've got her name down as one of the people that's going to England, and so with Lee Kent, he's a accountant in Britain looking after my Powerhouse Group Limited business, and so we can team up with her and talk straight business. So we will get up to 42. Enforce the laws of King William III Acts of Westminster Parliament and Church of England, Protestant law, and French King's Salic law. So there, we're enforcing those acts into this court hearing tonight to put those straight out in orders, make them writ of execution orders to take this enforcement and start using it straight away. Enforce and form a Maori federal government under the King's flag and republic with portfolios, online Zoom, executive committee meetings. These are base here, people that will join the association, which will be all funded for a Maori government, a federal government, with the UK behind us, so they can come and teach us how to do the system. But I don't trust them over there in their corporate system in the government. I don't at all, because it's all fraud. So we have to do our own thing. We do our own way and pick who we want, not what the government wants here. So there, it's I can pick people, I can choose people that I think are good and honest to do the job. After spending a lot of time with Sue Nakora, the Prime Minister of the Maori government, I spent a lot of time with her and running her and Sean Elias, her mate Sean Elias, went to Harvard University together, those two. Sean Elias, I got a warrant out on her as Chief Justice that went through all this forcible seabed stuff, a lot of stuff that they put through Parliament, and she even acted in the place of the Queen running this country in her absence, while the government's changing and re-elections, and there's no government there until the elections are over and a new party put in. So she takes over. So there, I've got a lot on that, and her husband, Boo Fletcher, and her is fraud business dealings. Both of them criminal.
Yeah, now Helen Wickelman is now the
Yeah.
administrator.
Yeah, her goes on there too, on the list. The list, as long as your hand goes, is corporate fraud. That's why I say one affidavit equals the whole lot of the affidavit against each of those people. So you don't have to play around with one act and put one act in another act, and you just use the same acts here for the whole lot of them, one by one.
Yeah.
Same charges, same fraud. Enforce Queen Victoria Trust accounts from the 1844 audit and a settlement into my Powerhouse Bank account judgment creditors for the people of New Zealand, Britain, UK, and the world in 250 countries. So there, we're auditing the books. We're allowed to. We have been audited. The books haven't been audited. We're beneficiaries in that trust, and it's gone to the World Bank and Indonesia and Swiss Indo and all those places that have put a lien right over 970 million trillion lien. That's a lien over, and pick out from that top figure down, from top down, on the criminals, on any amount of figure we wish to put against them if they don't refute our affidavit. So it's the law. We're abiding by the law. 46, enforce the New Zealand Navy to honor the 1834-1835 King William IV Confederation flag and Constitution, jurisdiction, trade, Westminster Magistrate Court and Parliament. So there, we're locking the Navy to honor us immediately on these documents. We can put his name on the documents as unbroken succession of kings to kings to kings to kings down to the Admiral of the fleet. So King William had 50 years in the Navy setting up all this. And here's this Admiral of the fleet. Of the fleet means of the ships right through the world, the Navy, British Royal Navy, of where they've gone to and the jurisdiction they use on all the passenger ships as well. They use the Navy as their port of call and authority to be traveling and carrying the royal monarch's business and possessions, that gold and everything else on those luxury liners that even the sovereign monarch of the ocean monarch was flying this flag on the ocean monarch as carrying the king's prized possession or the queen's prized possession, especially gold, back to Britain. And there, that's where this comes in, this enforcement comes in, of our right to do the same thing. We have the right to enforce this law against all that corporation in transiting and manifesting all their cargoes on a ship from ship to shore and so forth. 46, say 46, 47, enforce the My King William IV Trust. This is our new trust, the My King William IV Trust, and foreclose Queen Victoria Trust and British Crown corporate business transfer to my Crown and My King William IV Trust accounts. So there, this is this part of foreclosing that their Crown trust businesses, all their trust businesses, foreclose on them in this act enforcement. We don't have to go, we can put these acts into Westminster Parliament to make them acts of law when we choose to, but we enforce them as if they're acts. And so we've got that right to enforce them straight away from what I'm saying here. And number 48, enforce into law my Crown Business Treasury account as successor to King William IV legal inheritance. That word legal inheritance is a big instrument in legal terms of prized possessions and wealth, legal inheritance throughout the world, where the king, where the Admiralty of the Fleet surrogate king went with the King's land transfer titles to the King of Britain, UK, King William III, King William IV Crown Trust accounts. So that's following the ship back to Westminster with all the prized possessions, money, gold, and everything else that the King said he owns. And the Queen says she owns too. So we got to find out where she's hidden the whole damn lot. 48, enforce into law, stop all bankers' wars and alienation of countries and their lands and birth certificates. Number 50, we're just about there. Enforce into law human rights and Bill of Rights Acts of King William III. So we're going back to the original King James 1688 Bill then, the Admiralty that started there in 1688 and was overtaken by King William III, the Glorious Revolution in Ireland. And so he whipped the title off the Catholics and put it into Protestants. So now we are Protestant Dutch kings, not Catholic and the Roman kings. The Dutch kings. New Zealand is a Dutch name. Zealand is a Dutch name. See? So we have that Dutch title right through the Pacific and right through the world in this flag. So there, enforce enforcing all the rights in the Bill of Rights Act,
I thought she said you only had 49.
50 something,
Oh,
just about it.
eh?
Yeah, just I've got to keep
Well,
going
it's
till
after
it's
1 o'clock.
just right. I don't care. We don't have to finish this. It's law.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing. So we said 50, 51. Hang on, it's finished here. 54.
They're on 51 now.
51. Enforce into law 1835 Declaration of War on British UK Crown. So we're declaring war on the British Crown. Corporations, banks, treasury, gold, bullion, stocks worldwide, lien mortgage over them, 970 million trillion pound lien over them. That's like a mortgage over them. See? So there, we can work back from a lien over them with the pound notes. So there you go. Digital current pound notes and digital currency in recoverable Moai Crown equity valuable collateral, clear title, incumbent, exclusive ownership. So there, we put a lien right over the whole of the business stuff, right through the world. 52, enforce all 250 countries under the 1835 King William IV Constitution flag of King William IV Acts of Westminster Parliament, locked into a Moai Crown law with King William IV jurisdiction and his seal and the Moai Memorial standing in London City. Just about it. 53, enforce all 250 countries. Oh, I see that. 53, two more. Enforce a direct order on the British Royal Navy to authorize Admiralty jurisdiction of our Confederation of Paramount Chiefs, King William IV, British Crown, 1835 Declaration of Independence flag, and Native King's Bench Magistrate Court, and to joinder the Westminster Magistrate Court and Westminster Parliament. So we're joining them together with us in that lot. 54, the last, well, just about the last one. Enforce the legislation of the 1834-1835 Declaration of War, financial investment. So we're going into the financial investment, real money, instrument, flag, and British Royal Navy and British Armed Forces are obligated to recover the debts owed and stolen gold, natural valuable resources, land, countries, property, businesses, money, investments, slaves, they've used slaves as well, technology, patents, food products, seeds, ancestral treasures, children, and more to add. If 56, enforce legislate our Moai Crown Native King's Bench Magistrate Court into 250 countries in the world jurisdiction and constitution of the King's flag. 56, we're just about there. Enforce the British 1835, 1846, 1852 constitutions into my Crown Corporation law of King William III, King George IV, King William IV. 57, enforce native First Nation claims against the British Big Crown and each country's nation's small crown corporation judgment debtors under the King George V corrupt king period in Ireland and New Zealand and British UK between 6th of May 1910 and 20th of January 1936 Crimes Act of offending government of Britain, UK, Rothschild family, and of 300 Bank of England, City of London, private corporations as my Crown judgment debtor. 56, one more. 58, enforce First Nations claims by my Crown Corporation's judgment creditors under King George IV, King period of Ireland and New Zealand between 12th of August 1762 and 26th of June 1830. And note here, Paramount Chief Te Waikato Wharehere and Manukau sale and purchase of New Zealand country to King George 1823. Oh shit. Enforce First Nations claims my Crown Corporation judgment creditors under King George IV King period of Ireland and New Zealand between 12th August 1762 and June 26, 18, sorry. My eyes, 59, last one. enforce, oh, shucks, it's not the last one. 59 First Nations claim against British Crown and Rothschild families, 300 families, City of London, Banking of England, private corporations as judgment debtors under the Queen Victoria period 20 June 1837 to 22nd of January 1901, refer to Auckland or Australian flag jurisdiction. Maori spread across the world, mark the time east, south, west, north. There's a picture there. 33. Why did I go to 33? Enforced by Crown First Nations of the world, 250 countries, starting point of King Ernest Augustus V period of reigning monarch from 1837, King William IV to King Ernest Augustus I, legitimate king to the throne as the true monarch, King of Hanover, 20th of June 1838 to 18 November 1851, illegal switch in Westminster Parliament Statute Act to King George V, younger brother, as Maori Crown claims the succession to King Ernest Augustus V, age 68 in 2002. 38, last one. Enforce the British Royal Navy Admiral of the Fleet, Michael Boyce, automatic approval to start using the Confederation of Chiefs 1834-1835 free passage through the Royal Flag in trade, corporate business in 250 countries immediately today, Thursday, 26th of May 2022, passing of the law on these unrebutted affidavits sworn today. So that's the end of it all.
Friday,
Andy?
the 27th now.
Yeah, it's Friday or Friday the 27th. I can add that to the rest of the court hearing. So we've got the select the select executive to go to Westminster. John Wanoa, native assessor of lands, law and memorials. Alfred Mitchell, judge of Native King's Bench Magistrate Court. Manahi Mahini, justice of the peace and church minister. Maori Crown business, trade and corporate accounts administrator. That was Cecile Hood, business computer operator, yet to get. Governor, my government, European woman or man, governor, yet to get. The home base, that's the crew going to
You've froze out, John. He dropped out. So close. We're there. We're nearly there, guys. Be interesting to see. 21 days. If there's any to be reported. John, are you there, John?
Yeah.
He was just about to read out home base remote office. He was up to, that's what he's up to.
Okay, I'll go back to that home base remote office, and that's at home in New Zealand. Administration of accounts and business, computer operator, website operator, manager banking and finance, manager company business, etc. So those are still to be selected and paid for by this pound note. As soon as we get financial from Cook Street, it should cover all the expenses of everybody to set up the federal government in New Zealand, and that'll be picked by people who come onto their site and choose. The first in line is the first one chosen. If they qualify for those positions. We get to the administration in Britain, UK. Jackie Little Gordon, company manager, Britain, UK. Matthew Taylor, manager of Native People Trust Shareholders Business, Britain, UK, and the world. So he's in the 250 countries from Westminster, where our business will be set up. And Andrew Devine, bank manager, Andrew. So there you go. He had that one coming. Lee Canton. Lee Canton is accountant already, and he's looking after our affairs at the company's office. Frank McElharron, lands manager, Britain, UK. Joanne, Mary, Secretary, Britain, UK, etc. So I've just got those names at the present time chosen for that position. We are still looking for experienced people. I've been through all that. We will send the code and everything. We're nearing the end. I believe discussion, bullet points. Now we've been through that. Confederation, we've been through that. We've got a picture there, a picture of something there. Confederation of Chiefs 1835 flag, and versus the New Zealand flag jurisdiction flag of New Zealand. You haven't got the flag. You haven't got that picture there. So so that's the end, really. Really, we've reached the end of our court hearing.
Okay.
I can now close the court today. The business is over, and the time now in New Zealand is
1:22.
1:22 a.m. on Friday, the 27th. To put in our next minutes and correction of this and some of the wording of the dates and times and things. Not much errors, Andy. I'd be surprised there's not much errors in my spelling and things like that, apart from the capitals that I'm passionate about making big, loud statements. That's what shouting means in capitals. So there you go, people. That's a court hearing that's now global and applicable to all nations and people as sovereigns. They're sovereigns, and we're looking for a new sovereign to take the crown and to put our sovereigns in one crown if they wish to have a king to carry on the king we want, not the king we don't want. We don't want Prince Charles and his fraud family on the throne. So there we have now no petition. We have no petition to put somebody in the crown. We only have orders to put them there. We order Ernest Augustus V, wearing the 8-point star. We order him to go on the throne, to claim the throne while it's empty and while they're in confusion and in a mess in Westminster and US government and all over the world in a mess, and the Vatican. They're all in a mess, caught up with them now. So there, Andy, that's all I can say. You might have a few words, Alfred, before we all go.
No, that's good.
Before we-
Thanks very much, John.
Before we go to sleep.
You've done a terrific amount of work. Yeah, a lot of amount of work. Yeah.
Yeah. So there. That's the end of this hearing till the next one, and I will hopefully I will have the new laptop this week or next week. Kate Baker, thank you for the
Thanks
laptop.
very much, Kate.
Because I had my hopes up to have it running up and running and everything, and unfortunately the keys didn't work, and it has to go back, and they're going to give me a new one, a replacement one. So we should be better up next week, Andy.
Thanks very
I hope
much,
so.
Kate, for that.
God bless you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Oh, so I was so gutted when it happened.
Yeah, I'll just wait for the stickers to come to put onto the box to send it back, or I'll just wait and see. I'll try and talk to Maria tomorrow to see if she can send another replacement down, and at the same time sending the sticker to put on the box to send it back, and I'll pack it back up and to send back. It's a pity because it was going good. It was going good, except for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll end this meeting then now for the court hearing.
Thank you very much, Andy.
Here in Greece
Very much.
is
Okay.
yeah. Thank you. Alfred.
We got to move now.
You can get some sleep now. It's 16. It's 4:25. 4:25 p.m. On the 26th of May here in Greece. So 2:25 in the UK. The 26th, Thursday the 26th. Okay, thank you very much, John. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bless everyone. Bye bye for now.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for
Thank you.